The last journey of the 14th Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, begins. You can see the cavalcade moving with full military and state honours from his residence as Motilal Nehru Road to the AICC headquarters a little way, which is not more than 1 kilometres. Accompanying him are top Congress leaders. Waiting for him at the AICC headquarters are his colleagues. The Congress President, Mallikarjun Kharge, was one of the first ones who arrived over there. Apart from that, of course, Mr. Chidambaram, the former Finance Minister and Home Minister, who was very much an integral part of the Manmohan Singh cabinet. And in fact, let me just go across to my colleague Neeraj, who's along with the last journey or the procession of Dr. Manmohan Singh to the AICC headquarters.
सेना के और मनमोहन सिंह का राजनीतिक करियर या आर्थिक करियर कहे जो रहा है कांग्रेस के अंदर या कांग्रेस से पहले सरकार में भी एक ब्यूरोक्रेट के तौर पे, शिक्षाविद के तौर पे जो उन्होंने भारत को दिया है, बार बार वो कहते थे इतिहास उनका मूल्यांकन करेगा, तो जिस तरह का सम्मान दिया गया है वो उनका मूल्यांकन किया जा रहा है।
Okay, let me just go across to my colleague Siddhant, who's also at the Nigambodh Ghat. We also have Ananya at the AICC headquarters. Siddhant, well, the final journey really begins, and I think around 11:45 is the time which has been given out by way of the notification for the funeral rites with full state honours. Little too early, but do you have an idea of who are the people who are going to be present there, at least from the government side, the Prime Minister, the Speaker, I'm told?
Well, that's right, Pallavi. In fact, yesterday late evening, there were two separate notifications issued by Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Defence. And in fact, Ministry of Home Affairs, confirmed that the state honours, full military honours will be accorded to Dr. Manmohan Singh, after which Ministry of Home Affairs asked Ministry of Defence to start the preparations. And late in the evening, we got the second notification from Ministry of Defence, perhaps confirming the same, that the military honours would be accorded to Dr. Manmohan Singh. And as you rightly pointed out, from the government side, the last tributes, homage, will be paid by Home Secretary, Defence Secretary, the Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Army Staff, Army Chief, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Modi, and President Draupadi Murmu. So we could expect this to end at around 11:45, and after which the time that have been mentioned in the notification, between 11:45 to 12, the final rites, the religious ceremony will take place. So right now, Pallavi, I'm at Nigambodh Ghat, and in fact from last late evening, the preparations are underway. In fact, on both sides of the entry of Nigambodh Ghat, Pallavi, if Umesh ji could pan and give shots of the contingent that have been deployed on both sides of the entry gates of the Nigambodh Ghat. In fact, the paramilitary forces have also been deployed here. I could see the senior officers from all the three forces at the Nigambodh Ghat, because Dr. Manmohan Singh will be accorded with full military honours, and Delhi Police is handling the outer security of Nigambodh Ghat. Given the popularity of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, Pallavi, we could expect many Congress Karyakartas to come from different states of India to join Dr. Manmohan Singh in his last journey. So from AICC headquarters, after Antim Darshan, the procession will commence for the Nigambodh Ghat. So we could expect the traffic disruption also, Pallavi, but to make sure the traffic remains smooth in central Delhi area, the police force have been deployed. In fact, the senior officers all are here, and since there is going to be a lot of VIP movement from Rashtrapati Draupadi Murmu to Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Modi, and then obviously we could expect Gandhi family to also be the part of the final procession. They are also the special protectee. So given that, there's a lot of presence of authority, people from police force, paramilitary forces on ground. But we could expect the mortal remains to be brought to the Nigambodh Ghat by 11 a.m.
Yeah, so the schedule is that what was put out is that for now, at least for another hour, the mortal remains of Dr. Manmohan Singh is going to remain at the AICC headquarters so that the party workers can pay their tribute to him. But more than that, this is the ownership of the Congress party of Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was their Prime Minister for 10 long years from 2004 to 2014. Ananya is tracking all those developments because we can see those pictures up on your screens of all the top Congress leaders being there as a part of the entire movement to pay their final respects to their Prime Minister. Ananya, I think Rahul Gandhi went to his residence to accompany the entire cavalcade to the AICC headquarters. Clearly, the Gandhis' bond, if I can say so, with Dr. Manmohan Singh is very apparent. But around you, do you see a large number of party workers and party leaders who have turned up? And what's the sense that you're getting then from them?
Well, definitely, Pallavi, this is a day of mourning for the entire nation. You can see the flag here, half-mast, and various Congress leaders, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Salman Khurshid, Mallikarjun Kharge, the Congress president. Along with that, the tallest leaders, the Congress party, like DK Shiv Kumar, are here. All, everybody is in a state of, mourning because one of the tallest congressmen, one of the key and tallest politicians of the country is no more. He is somebody not only renowned as, a politician or as a congressman, but also was one of the finest economists of the country, drove the country out of a massive economic crisis that India could have faced in the 1991. But with his resilience and his economic knowledge, you can see, Pallavi, fast-paced developments taking place here at the Congress headquarters. More and more people coming in. We might see in the next few minutes, the mortal remains of, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, could be brought in here at the Congress headquarters. More and more people are pouring in. The security levels are really high here, Congress leaders are ready to pay their last tributes to, Dr. Manmohan Singh, their Prime Minister for 10 long years, and not only as a Prime Minister, but a congressman for years and decades for counting.
That's right. And I can see Mr. Chidambaram, I can see many of his former cabinet colleagues paying their last respects to a man who was their boss for 10 long years. And then I'm just going to keep coming back to you as much as I'll keep coming back to Siddhant once the cavalcade reaches the Nigambodh Ghat, where the final rites are going to be held. I'm going to go across to Tushar Gupta, senior journalist. Tushar, I mean, people are going to be saying a lot of things. I'm not our moment to talk really about the politics. But one thing which really stood apart was that whether it's in India, whether it's in abroad, and even though the BJP, the political opponents, and there was a lot of competition and opposition between the Prime Minister Modi and Dr. Manmohan Singh, the kind of tribute which came in from the Prime Minister epitomizes what Dr. Manmohan Singh was all about.
Good morning, Pallavi.
Good morning.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the Prime Minister in his tribute was very clear. The Prime Minister had his policy disagreements with the former Prime Minister, Dr. Singh. But I think there was never this contention of both of them being respectful to each other. I think they were immensely respectful to each other. Even the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, he was very, very kind to the current Prime Minister. Dr. Singh used to say, history will be kind to me. But I can assure you one thing, history will never forget him. For whatever reasons, history will always remember him as a critical figure in India's economic trajectory. And today, the outpouring you're seeing on social media, within the people, in Delhi, within the Congress cadre, it's all that testament to the criticality of his stature. And I think today, if you're looking at the whole discussion around the memorial space, everything, I think the BJP will be quite accommodative. I don't have a doubt about that. But talking about Dr. Singh, I think in all fairness, there needs to be a proper elaborate study on his economic career. Look at the Congress Dr. Singh joined in the early 70s and look at the Congress he left with. I remember last year, it was the Delhi Services Bill and Dr. Singh was there in the Rajya Sabha doing his duty. And that was something very heartening to see also, but to see Dr. Singh, over there all in not in the greatest health, it was sort of sad, sort of sombering. But nevertheless, a figure that will not be forgotten easily in India's, journey.
Yeah, but Tushar, it also, you're right. I mean, okay, I'm going to go across. I'll just come back to you, Tushar. Let me just go across to my colleague Ananya, because I think he's getting us some updates from there. Yes, Ananya.
Well, Congress leaders are gathering here one by one. Very senior leaders, including Mallikarjun Kharge, Mr. Chidambaram, and Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, and other Congress leaders arriving. We might see that any minute in the next few minutes, the mortal remains of the former Prime Minister, a tall congressman, a tall politician, would be here at the All India Congress Committee headquarters, where we will see that people will be paying their last tribute to. In fact, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, who remained, the Prime Minister of the Congress government for over 10 years, and not only that, and remained a congressman for all his life, economist of the highest order, somebody who brought India from, in fact, from the brink of death when it comes to economy, and, pulled India into a more liberal, a more globalized economy, a brain which dealt with foreign policy or, economic policies at the highest order, and a friend of a friend, a politician of its own class, a man of humility, would be putting, his last journey. He is on his last journey. You can see these visuals. My camera person Rahul Malhotra will show you how, fast-paced developments are taking place here at the All India Congress Committee headquarters here in the national capital.
Yes, so the updates are that any time now the cavalcade is going to be entering the AICC headquarters. What I'm being told is that it is right outside the main gate of the AICC headquarters. Congress leaders are in full to pay their tributes to the man who was the Prime Minister for 10 long years. On your screens, you can of course see the Congress President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge. There's Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra I can see there. Of course, Salman Khurshid, Chidambaram. All of them were very much a part of the Manmohan Singh cabinet. Okay, I also have Mr. R.K. Upadhyay now joining me this morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Upadhyay. The acceptability of Manmohan Singh within the Congress party, because, initially there was a kind of feeling, especially among Pranab Mukherjee, that, why should he be chosen as the Prime Minister, which is largely a political job? In the 10 years that he was the PM, Mr. Upadhyay, did you see that Dr. Manmohan Singh, after the initial hiccups, actually became very comfortable in being a political economist and economic politician as well?
Absolutely. I think, he adapted himself very well to the post that came to him as a surprise. He was never in politics. He was more a bureaucrat who had a long innings. Let's not forget that he had a very, very long innings in the government, and he knew inside out of the government, especially the finance.
I'm going to just interrupt you, Mr. Upadhyay. I'm just showing this picture. See, I can see the wife of the late Prime Minister, Gushran Kaur. She's been his companion through thick and thin, and he was very open about the fact that I listen to her, I do what I want to, but she's been a major influence in my journey of life. Mr. Upadhyay, please carry on. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Sonia Gandhi made a very wise choice in selecting him because it was known that Pranab Mukherjee would have been difficult to work with for her, because he was a very senior minister, and he was well versed with the the situation, and probably she would not have felt very comfortable working with him, and that was the reason why she chose Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh was the ideal foil for her because he was a loyalist who would listen to her, and he was very polite, and he had the intellectual heft to carry on the Prime Minister's post. And, I think she made the very good choice at that time, given the circumstances, because we all know that Mrs. Gandhi herself was very keen on taking up the post, and the circumstances like the president, probably the then president, Mr. Abdul Kalam, raising questions about her nationality and asking her to find out whether she was making the right choice. I think that put some doubts in her mind as to whether she should take up the job at all. And also, we all know that how the opposition was against her becoming the prime minister, saying that she's of foreign origin and she should not be taking it up. So constitutionally, there was no problem for her to become this thing. But she realized that it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job, and taking up the responsibility would have divided the country, on many fronts. And that's the reason why she wisely made a decision to elevate Dr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister of the country.
And also, Tushar, the trust factor, because I think Pranab Mukherjee also did speak about it later, the fact that, why he could not become the PM and he would have wanted to become the Prime Minister. Do you get this sense that Sonia Gandhi, when she chose Dr. Manmohan Singh, wanted a person who, one, she could trust, and two, for whom the party, the government would be more important than self? She perhaps didn't have that kind of confidence and faith in Pranab Mukherjee, but in Dr. Manmohan Singh, she saw that man who would put actually the nation first.
Pallavi, now these comparisons, these discussions will become inevitable. Both Pranab Mukherjee and Dr. Singh were stalwarts of the Congress, and they were a stalwarts of the Congress that was on the decline, on a very steady, gradual decline. So, how these two figures were perceived by the one family. It's going to be a very interesting discussion in the years to come. But yes, clearly Sonia Gandhi...
Yeah, carry on. I'm sorry. Quickly, I'll just go across to my colleague.
Yeah, but Sonia Gandhi definitely preferred Manmohan Singh over Pranab Mukherjee. There's no doubt about that. But had Manmohan Singh been the finance minister of India between 2004 and 2014, who knows? The trajectory would have been very, very different for both the country and the nation at large. But it is what it is.
Yes. I'm just going to come back to you. I'm going to go across to my colleague Ananya. Ananya, I can see those pictures up on our screens. The cavalcade, in fact, the mortal remains of Dr. Manmohan Singh reaches the AICC headquarters. 10 years. He's, of course, been a Congress leader. I can see him being welcomed by all the senior Congress leaders. Can you just take us through those pictures?
Well, definitely, the mortal remains of, in fact, Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Prime Minister for the Congress government for 10 years, not only that, a congressman for all his life, being welcomed, with a heavy heart, with sadness here at the All India Congress Committee headquarters. Everybody is in grief because of the loss of one of the tallest politicians, one of the tallest congressmen in the country. All his colleagues, whether it's Mallikarjun Kharge, whether it's Mr. Chidambaram, Mr. Salman Khurshid, DK Shiv Kumar, former Congress President Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, all are in attendance to pay their tributes to, in fact, Dr. Manmohan Singh, not only a politician, not only a congressman for all his life, but an economist of the highest order, somebody who's dealt with, various turmoils when it comes to the Indian economy and has taken it out of those tides very, very cleanly, is what Dr. Manmohan Singh was. If you talk about his persona, his personality, somebody who has been, in fact, a beacon of peace, a beacon of humility, remembered as one of the most polite politicians in the country, would be, is on his final journey from here. He will be taken to, in fact, the Nigambodh Ghat, where last rites, the final journey of, in fact, Dr. Manmohan Singh would conclude, and very clearly a tall leader coming to rest.
And in 1991, when he became the finance minister, was also the year when he joined officially the Congress party. And 10 years is a long time in politics. He's also the first Prime Minister before the Prime Minister Modi and after Jawaharlal Nehru to be re-elected and not as the Prime Minister after completing the full term. He was the 14th Prime Minister of the country. The man with the blue turban is how he was always identified with. Okay, I'm just going to come back to you again, Ananya, in a bit as we take those pictures. I think that's the briefing room of the AICC headquarters, which is, of course, a huge hall, and that is where the mortal remains of Dr. Manmohan Singh have been kept. I can see his family there, his daughters. He's got 3 daughters. One of them, Amrit Singh, is in Stanford University, and she has arrived now. Of course, next to them, I can see Gurshan Kaur, his companion, very much there, and his other relatives are there, as all the other Congress leaders are very much there. I think the mortal remains are going to be kept at the AICC headquarters for at least an hour or so before the final journey begins for Nigambodh Ghat. You know, Mr. Upadhyay, we keep on talking about his economics and, and the landmark decisions, the opening up. But I think we should also talk about his foreign policies, because I think it was his famous line, breakfast in Amritsar, lunch in Lahore and dinner in Kabul. Do you think to him that diplomatic aspect, the fact that he already had a global world stature before he became the PM, helped him to kind of brief the foreign policy? And before I just come back to you, Mr. Upadhyay, I can see those pictures up on your screen. Sonia Gandhi, again, she described it as a personal loss for her. I mean, they were a team. They were a good team which worked together, and she was his staunchest supporter. Mr. Upadhyay, I actually want to ask you this question. People kept on calling her remote control Sarkar, and there were critics within the government. He had his tugs and pressures from within the cabinet. But the fact that Sonia Gandhi completely backed him perhaps kept his critics away and they were on guard. Do you think that was a combination of Sonia Gandhi plus Dr. Manmohan Singh which accounted for the political stability of UPA for 10 years? I can also see Mr. Kharge, Ajay Makan, Treasurer, and Sonia Gandhi, of course, laying the wreath on his mortal remains. Yes, Mr. Upadhyay.
Yeah, I think, the trust factor was something very important in that alliance between the two leaders. But for that, I don't think they would have been able to do a good job for 10 long years. Sonia Gandhi, I think she knew exactly what Dr. Manmohan Singh would do, and she trusted him completely. And she also knew, his background. And he was a man who had worked for a long time in the government, and he knew how the departments function. And I remember from 1971 to 82, he was a financial advisor in the economic ministry. And then he became a deputy chairman of the planning commission, and he was also the chairman of the UGC. All those posts, which definitely helped to understand the functioning of the government, and that he brought in when he was made as a prime minister. So of course he also had the experience of being the finance minister under PV Narasimha Rao. So that was most critical period of his innings. I think he performed remarkably under Narasimha Rao, and Narasimha Rao had a knack of selecting the right kind of persons. I remember the day when the cabinet took oath. Later on, it has been recorded by Dr. Manmohan Singh's daughter in one of her memoirs that he was told that he was in the UGC office sitting there and performing his duties, and came and he said, "Please go home, get ready, and come for the swearing in." So he immediately rushed. Of course, he had been told earlier by Dr. Alexander, who was Narasimha Rao's go-to man, and that he came for the swearing in. And I think everybody else was surprised that why is this man here, among all the ministers sitting there. And he was among the first one to take oath. And they didn't know what was happening. And, it was not announced as to what portfolio would be given to him. And only, when the portfolios came the next day, that everyone knew that Dr. Manmohan Singh is going to be the finance minister of the country. So that was the, great moment of, Indian democracy. Where PV Narasimha Rao made the best choice available at that time. And we all know the kind of the economic crisis that was there at that time. Just before that, we had the Chandrasekhar government, which had pledged 46 tons of gold, to make up for the imports. We didn't have enough for foreign exchange. The foreign exchange was just about enough for just 2 weeks. And the government had no choice but to pledge it, with the Bank of England. And it was done in a very hush-hush manner in the beginning, but then the whole country knew that this had been done and that Chandrasekhar was able to defend his decision. But ironically, the government had changed by then. In fact, when the gold was transferred from here to London, the Narasimha Rao government had already taken charge, and Manmohan Singh was also the finance minister. Of course, they did approve of the proposal because there was absolutely nothing else that they could have done at that point of time. And from then on, this government really worked hard to look at the problems that were there in the economy and what were the solutions. And, as they say, come at the hour and come at the man. Dr. Manmohan Singh was the right person at the right time in the Indian context. It is a historical moment that he took charge, and for the next 5 years, the kind of reforms that Manmohan Singh was able to bring, I think, brought the country back from the brink, and that is the fruit on which now I'm sorry, Narendra Modi is able to run the economy very well. So, but for those 10 years of slogging that Dr. Manmohan Singh did to bring the economy back from the brink, the kind of developments that we see in the last 10 years of Narendra Modi wouldn't have been possible.
Mr. Bhatt, I'll just come back to you. Tushar, I'll also come back to you a bit. I'm just going to go across to my colleague Siddhant. Siddhant, we see those pictures from the AICC. I'm just telling our viewers that's from inside the AICC headquarters. His mortal remains will be there for another half hour to 45 minutes. And then, of course, it's going to make the final journey to Nigambodh Ghat, where Siddhant is standing. Siddhant, I really want to talk about the foreign policy. I was just asking this to Mr. Upadhyay. He was the one who insisted a lot and focused a lot on South Asia regional cooperation, I mean, again, that line which he often used to use about breakfast in Amritsar, mera sapna ye hai, lunch Lahore mein and dinner in Kabul. So that integration. He also told Karzai, I think when he became the president of Afghanistan, that go slowly but be stable. Can you just tell us how important is Dr. Manmohan Singh's legacy as far as the South Asian region is concerned, India's neighborhood?
Well, Pallavi, he has made immense contribution to the foreign policy domain. And in fact, it's the foundation which Dr. Manmohan Singh laid, on which Prime Minister Modi built upon. Starting from the neighborhood, Pallavi, especially if we talk about Nepal, Bhutan and Maldives. For the first time, elections took place in these countries, and democratically elected governments were formed. So this goes to Manmohan Singh's credit. You remember, Pallavi, the times in Nepal when there was a situation of a civil war between the Maoist and the royal family. But because of the assistance from the Indian government, the elections were conducted and the government was formed. The same is the case in Maldives. You see, Pallavi, at that time, in 2011, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh visited Maldives, and he was the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Maldivian Parliament Majlis. That was the first time when election took place in Maldives. And this is a reason that, the kind of, the way we have been seeing the condolences pouring in from these neighboring countries. Yes, he was criticized after 26/11 attacks, especially for not using force against Pakistan, or perhaps opting for the route of dialogue and diplomacy to build pressure on Pakistan. Other than this, Pallavi, if we talk about his policy with China, then the two important border agreements with China were signed during his regime. One in 2005 and other in 2013 after the Dipsang crisis. During his time only, Pallavi, Indian government, Ministry of External Affairs stopped reiterating one China policy. That was perhaps a big foreign policy decision during his tenure, because China went aggressive for this as far as the state of Arunachal Pradesh is concerned. China started issuing stapled visa. So to answer that, India decided in his tenure not to reiterate one China policy. Then we all know the controversial Sharm el-Sheikh joint statement.
I'm just going to come back to you on that, Siddhant, in a bit. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm just going to come back to you there in a bit. I'm going to go across to Tushar. Even as I just speak through the pictures which we are seeing from the AICC headquarters, all the leaders are there. I mean, there were very rare occasions where Dr. Manmohan Singh would go to the AICC headquarters, but he would go certainly as far as the Congress Working Committee meetings were concerned, and on the Foundation Day. Ironically, today is the Congress's Foundation Day, and the man who built up the stature of the Congress party, those mortal remains are there, and they're paying the last tribute. Of course, the Congress has cancelled all its official functions as well. Ananya, From where you are, I mean, do you see a lot of party workers coming in? Because I remember Dr. Manmohan Singh, he never won a Lok Sabha election. He was a member of parliament from the Rajya Sabha. But, sometimes the work you do and the leadership you give in terms of being the head of the government for 10 long years, those were those glorious days of the Congress party. 2009, when he came back, he was called Singh is King. Do you see a large number of party workers who've turned up today at the AICC headquarters to pay their tribute? And when do you think his mortal remains are likely to be taken out towards Nigambodh Ghat?
Well, the mortal remains have just been brought, 10 to 15 minutes ago. And, it will stay here for a little while because you can see the large number of people. I'll ask my camera person, Rahul Malhotra, to show you the visuals around. There's a long queue of people who are waiting. In fact, senior Congress leaders, waiting. In fact, even the normal people who are waiting to just pay their tributes, to pay their last message to the departed soul of the former Prime Minister, who remained the Prime Minister for 10 long years, a congressman for all his life, a politician, who is hailed across the party lines, whether it's the Congress itself or the opposition BJP at that particular point of time. Somebody remembered as the man with the blue turban, and very clearly one of the finest economists the country could ever have is somebody what describes Dr. Manmohan Singh, and people gathering here in large numbers in order to give their last message, to give their last blessings for the final abode of Dr. Manmohan Singh.
All right, Ananya, I'll keep coming back to you even as the Congress leaders are paying their tributes and their last respects. We can see all the top Congress and his former cabinet colleagues. Of course, the Gandhi family and the family of Dr. Manmohan Singh are there. This is going to be a top focus as we are going to be tracking the journey, the last journey of the 14th Prime Minister of India. We are going to be back after a short break.